Central air versus mini splits. Which one is better? Sorry, there's no TLDR on this one because the answer is it depends. Living in Arizona, all residences have central air. It's a necessity here because of how bloody hot it gets in the summer, so I've lived with it all my life. It wasn't until recently that I put in my first mini split, and I'm thrilled with how this thing works. One of the major drawbacks to central air is that you have to duct the air to all your points of use, whereas with a mini split, the unit is placed in the room it's meant to serve. That, combined with the smaller form factor, means mini splits will almost always be more efficient than central air, so you'll pay less money per unit of cooling or heating. On the flip side, if you tried to condition an entire house just using mini splits, you'd have to have several units installed, which increases your equipment count and drives up the likelihood of something wearing out or breaking, thereby increasing your maintenance costs. Plus, you need to place all the units, which may not go with your mid-century modern open concept design. My central air unit was starting to show some worrying signs. The outdoor unit was about 14 years old, and the blower in my attic was double that. So I decided to pull the trigger on a new set, and I came across another big drawback to central cooling: cost. I was able to install a nice mini split by myself in an afternoon for around $1,000. A new central air unit will easily cost you 10 times that. Installing central air is a whole other animal. I'm not sure Hercules could have done this by himself. I've seen my blower, and I have no idea how these guys got the unit in and out of that tiny hole leading to my attic. But somehow they managed it, and now I've got a nice new unit that I'm not constantly worried about failing while it's 120 degrees out. As part of the new install, they put in a new plenum and pressure balanced all of the outputs. The plenum is the end where all the air is pushed, and pressure balancing helps ensure cool air goes to all the different rooms. Alright, back to ducting. First, it's a very expensive undertaking. If you're not constructing a new home, adding central air is probably out of the question because it would be logistically and monetarily difficult to a point that it just wouldn't make sense. When routing ductwork through a home, a well-designed system attempts to get an adequate amount of air to every room based on its size. There are, however, limitations to how well you can do this depending on the layout of your home. All of the ductwork has to fit within the walls and ceiling, which restricts duct size and routing to the space you have available. In addition, since your ducts typically run through non-conditioned areas like your attic, they have to be insulated, which further reduces the cross-sectional area of your duct, further restricting the amount of air you can move at a time. One other important note to make: installing an improperly sized unit can drastically reduce efficiency as well. An over or undersized unit is going to use a lot more energy to make your home comfortable, so make sure you're working with someone who really knows what they're doing when it comes time to replace your unit. Otherwise, it's going to cost you a lot more in the long run. So, if I already had central air, why did I bother with a mini split? Well, my office sits on the west side of my house with several large windows, which means that afternoons absolutely bake that room. You can try all you want to make your ducting more efficient, send more pressure to that side of the house, but the simple fact is that you can't compensate enough for the difference in thermal load on that room with any conventional means from a central unit. On a typical summer day, that room would be 4 to 8 degrees hotter than the rest of the house. This is before you start to consider the fact that there are several computers running and 2 adults using the space, which only exacerbates the problem. My first attempt at a solution was to put a remote thermostat in the room, which would send information to my main thermostat. My Ecobee averages the temperature for all the rooms that detect movement, so it will stay on longer to try and cool the room more. Which is a perfect segue to my sponsor, just no. Come on. Adding the remote thermostat didn't really help with the comfort of the room, and it made my unit run longer, making the rest of the house colder than I wanted. In short, it was a lot less efficient, and it didn't really help cool the room off. So I learned the basics of HVAC installation on YouTube, bought all the stuff I'd need to put in the mini split, and around $1,000 later, I had all the tools and equipment I needed. I spent 2 days installing it, one for the indoor unit, another for the outdoor. This could easily be done in a day, but working outside in the summer is best done in the morning, so I did it over 2 days. Overall, I'd say this is a job for someone with at least a moderate skill level. Go watch some of the YouTube how-tos to determine if you'd feel comfortable doing a job like this. I can safely say this is one of the best things I've done to my house. The office was downright unusable in the summer afternoons, and now it's perfectly comfortable. The unit is barely audible and likely reduces my total energy consumption by providing high-efficiency cooling to the room that needs supplementing. With my shiny new units in, let's take a look at the change in my cooling bills. My new central unit is several SEER rating higher than my old unit. In order to get a good reading, you'd have to calculate power usage per outdoor temperature and humidity. This is easier said than done, and my calculations aren't that precise, but after our first month, we're using about 20% less energy than we were before. That's pretty significant. Although we won't see numbers like this in the milder months, I'm expecting to save somewhere between $200 and $400 a year on my energy bill with my new efficient units. All this while having a more comfortable home. So which type of unit is better? It depends on your situation. I've now got both in my life, and I'm very happy for it.